schools. College cheating scandal has been a big story recently. So recently, Lori Loughlin, Felicity Huffman, and dozens of others faced federal fraud charges after an announcement by the Department of Justice at a press conference on March 12th. The plot involved cheating on standardized testing exams, such as the ACT, and having the children of wealthy parents falsely designated as successful athletes, and in some cases, even paying financial bribes to coaches. At the center of the scandal is William Rick Singer, who acted as a for-profit college counselor and orchestrated the schemes, taking millions of dollars in payments from the parents. The fraud case has shed light on the many issues with admissions policies at elite schools, from the problems with schools giving preference to athletes to rich families' ability to buy their way in, and the hypocrisy of outrage over affirmative action programs. So, what do you guys think about the college cheating scandal?
I feel like we've spoken about this on so many different levels, but to answer your question, it's everyday fuck shit. I mean, this was no big surprise when I heard about this. I'm like, this always happens, especially when it comes to these elite schools and kids, parents trying to get their kids into elite schools. It's become so competitive, and and college has become so much of a big business. Even, I know we talk a lot on this podcast about the business of sports in college, in colleges, but also even on the academic side. It's become a business, especially some of the schools that were mentioned in the scandal. When we talk about, I'm going to pick on the Ivy League, the Ivy Leagues of Harvard and Yale. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Those schools, their fucking endowments are again, my new word of the week, asininely high. That's the word of the week. You know what I'm saying? No, it's just ridiculously high. You feel me? And it's to the point where, I think right now, Harvard's endowment is at $39 billion. You understand? Mm-hmm. And so these parents understand that, okay, I know in order for my child to maintain their status in society, I need them to be in these schools where the brand name stands out. Now, we all know Fuckface went to Wharton. Mm-hmm. We see a piece of shit he turned out to be. George W. Bush. He went to Harvard Business School and Yale. You saw how much a fuckface he turned out to be. You know what I mean? And, a lot of the presidents do attend Ivy League institutions. And, we've talked about some of them who weren't the best presidents. So for whatever reason, the perception and the branding of these schools tell white people that once you go there, you're the shit. And it even happens in corporate America. We discovered it when we were in grad school, y'all, right? Mm-hmm. That when you look at the MBA programs, those top, what do they call them, the top 25 or whatever?
Yeah.
There's that perception. Them motherfuckers, let me tell you the see in and outs of some of these schools. First of all, some of these schools don't even allow transcripts to be released of their students. So basically, the hardest part of getting in is really up into with these schools is getting in. Graduating, they'll figure out ways to get you through, mm-hmm. but really, getting into those schools is the tough part. Yep. And these parents felt like, okay, fuck it, we're gonna take the easy route, and it's no secret because I attended Boston College, so I saw the shit. I saw the dumb fucks where you're like, what the fuck? You looking at me talking about I got in here to do the affirmative action. What the fuck are you talking about? The president of the board or your legacy. What the fuck is that? Like you're just using semantics right there, right? Mm-hmm. It's still affirmative action. You're getting ahead of the line. And the beautiful part about this story is that it just exposed a lot of these motherfuckers that now you can't cry the bullshit anymore. You can't talk that shit. You too have benefited from some form of affirmative action. So the jig's up, homie.
Yeah. And the thing that's really infuriating about this whole thing is that you're talking about the most privileged people on the fucking planet. Mm-hmm. The very wealthy, the most famous, like their life is cake. You know what I'm saying? They live the most privileged life, man.
Yeah.
And they still have to cheat.
The thing about it is these people, they don't even have to go to fucking college. A lot of people,
they're already millionaires.
You're inheriting like hundreds of millions, in some cases billions of dollars. But you don't. So if you don't get into shit, if you don't go to college at all, let alone Harvard, Yale, whatever, you'll be fine. Right. You'll be absolutely fine. It's more of like a status symbol. So yes. really, for me, it's more for the parents. So that they can brag about their children. Exactly. Oh, you know what? My kid, they got into Harvard or whatever. Because this story, it talked about how a lot of the kids didn't know that the parents were doing this shit, especially with like SAT scores and shit. Like basically, basically they had a proctor set up that would go in like after that would proctor the exam. It would be a one-on-one exam, and after the exam they would change the answers to make the answers to boost up the scores or whatever. Yeah. Or sometimes they would just basically tell the kids what the answers was. But a lot of times the kids didn't actually know what it was, so it wasn't. It doesn't seem like it was as much like the kids, with all this pressure to do this is more of like a status symbol for the parents, so that they can brag to their colleagues as my kid's going to Harvard or whatever. What's your kid doing?
Yeah, these parents, it's almost like indirectly they're saying to their kids, "You're fucking stupid." And we don't believe in you. I don't believe that you can go in. Right, we don't believe you. You need more people like us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's almost like they're just telling their kids, like, yeah, I don't believe in you. And one of the kids who's at USC, I forget whose daughter she
Lori
is.
Laughlin's daughter.
Uncle Jesse's wife.
Yeah, shorty.
Full House.
I know, right? Full House and shit. She not playing with a full deck.
Yeah, niece Ivy. Niece Ivy Olive, whatever is her name? Whatever.
Yo, and the daughter's already pretty famous on YouTube.
Yeah, she's got over 1 million followers.
Yeah, and she was on YouTube talking about she's not even going to be able to go to school like that because she has so many other engagements that she has to do.
And she was talking about how she didn't even care about school at all, and she was basically like I'm going to be away from school or whatever all this time, whatever. Right. But I hope, but I still want to experience like the parties and all that shit. She didn't care. She didn't care about any of that. But yet she got into fucking USC.
But you know what, guys? Like the second most frustrating thing about this whole thing, man, is right now we're talking about fraud, like out and undeniable fraud, right? But of these cases. But what really bothers me is the stuff that happens that's legal.
Yep.
Right? Like the people who would, like Donald Trump pledged to give $2 million to the University of Pennsylvania. So they would accept, and guess what? Like years later, or a few years later, Don Jr. gets in.
Yep.
Ivanka follows him 5 years after that, right? Because he pledged that much money, right? The Kushners, Daddy Kushner, sits on the board of the fundraising arm for Harvard. God damn, man. They raised $1 billion something.
Yeah.
Using that, like it was 500, 600 people, and they went out and got, they raised money and got, for Harvard. And Harvard already has fucking the figure that T gave us, man. This whole fucking game is so fucking ridiculous when you really think about it.
And legacy too.
And legacy.
Because they said that I read something that said that if your parent was an graduate of a certain one of those Ivy League, one of those upper echelon schools, then you're 50%. Everything else being equal, you're 50% more likely to be admitted into that school.
Exactly.
Yep. Exactly.
Like, look, I saw a YouTube clip of Megyn Kelly, right, on The View. Now I went down.
Megyn McCain.
Megyn, what did I say?
Megyn Kelly. I know what you mean. They're white. They're white blondes. I get you.
Nah. Just kidding.
Right, Megyn McCain. Yeah, she has nice titties, but that's besides the point.
Wait a minute.
Yo,
hold up.
So they have this compilation of just how stupid she is, showing how dumb she is, right?
She is.
On The View. And like even her co-hosts are just like, oh my God, she is so fucking dumb. But yeah, she has that job. Do you know what college she attended?
Columbia.
She fucking went into an Ivy League school, man. Think about that.
She's dumb as shit.
Yeah.
She's dumb as a bag of rocks.
Like, you got those other hosts on there, and they're entertainers, so they probably didn't even go to university or anything like that, but they are 10 times smarter than she is.
Yeah.
And you told me she got into fucking Columbia? And the clip that I saw, she was defending legacy admissions because she was talking about how her dad, her grandfather, and her great-grandfather all went to the Naval Academy. Now, they've said, like, fucking John McCain was no scholar. Like they say, he had terrible grades. That the only reason he got into the Naval Academy is because of his dad.
Yeah, I think he graduated like with the fifth worst, or something like that, like fifth worst, like a GPA in the Naval Academy, something like that.
Yeah,
he was like a terrible student.
Right, Jared Kushner. They interviewed his high school, people that worked in the high school that he attended. They say he wasn't no scholar, man. He wasn't even a good student, but he ended up at Harvard. Of course. This whole fucking game, man, is so fucking rigged.
I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing that something like this it produces. It produces like people who think that they worked hard. Like if you ask Megan McCain, she thinks that she earned where she is at the View. But really, the only reason she's at the View is because her dad was a fucking senator, and her mom was a multi millionaire. Right. So so it produces like all these kids who were born on third base, but think they hit a triple.
Word.
Word. That's ill right there. That's some real talk right there. Yeah, and you can't tell them different, and they feel like that's working hard, and it shows the bullshit, the hypocrisy, and just the narrative, this false narrative that a lot of these wealthy people speak and spew, and the whole situation just blows the lid off of this bullshit and says, "Aha, you're not that smart," and we know that. We know a lot of them aren't that smart. Aha, exactly, right? They're not that fucking smart at all. They're not.
They try to talk about America like it's a meritocracy like that, right? But
yeah, right.
America still has a lot of the old world classism. In it,
oh, of course.
The way we talked about high schools and how they're funded, public schools, and now we see shit like this happening with college admissions. There's a fucking track, man. And if your parents are wealthy and they were able to, they can grease your way through life, man.
Yep.
Same way, like in Europe, if you're born into a certain class, you remain in that class.
Exactly.
And it's easy for you to navigate, life.
Exactly. Yep. Very true. Very true. So let's move on to another story. So